Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah. Hare Krishna. So we welcome you all, and it has been a long time. We're meeting after a very long time. And today's topic is also very interesting. It is the calculation of time, Kal. So we will discuss. Let me just. Does anyone remember what was the chapter last time?
That was the creation. Creation.
Yes, very good. Very good. So we spoke about the creation. And how many types of creation?
9, 10.
Yes. Mataji, 10? Yes.
6 from Lord.
Yes.
4 from Brahma.
Yes, very nice. So Mataji, did you hear or you remember?
I listened from one time.
Okay. Very nice. Let me share my screen. Hare Krishna Kavita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I hope you can see the screen, Mataji.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay. So it's very interesting topic. Is there echo? So the time, it's very interesting. Very often we say time bahut kam hai. You know, some people think this clock itself is the time, but it has a very deeper meaning in our lives. Yeah. Good. Thank you, Prabhuji. It has a very deeper meaning in our lives. There are questions about time asked by many exalted personalities. In Mahabharata, Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking from Bhishma Pitama when he goes to see him, when Bhishma Pitama is lying on the bed of arrows. So Yudhishthira Maharaj went and spoke to him. He asked many questions. But one of the questions he asked about is the time. Adyant sarva bhutana shrotum ichchami kaurava. That I want to know the Adi and Ant of all the Bhutanams, O Kaurav, O representative of the Kaurav. I want to hear that from you. Dhyanam karma cha kalam cha. Yeah. Tathaiva ayu yuge. Dhyan. What is dhyan? So first we have to understand what is dhyan and then what to meditate on. That is the second thing. What is karma? And tathaiva ayu yuge. What are the different ages in different yugas? Please explain that to me. Mata Devhuti, she asked about the bhakti. But after understanding, discussion about the bhakti, then she again asked the question to Bhagavan Kapil Dev, please tell me about time and please tell me about karma. So these two things have a lot of significance in devotees' lives. What karma we should be doing, keeping in mind the importance of time. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he also, when he is in his one of the commentaries, he's talking about these activities are done by Karma Mishrit Bhaktas. These activities are done by Gyan Mishrit Bhaktas. People who are looking for Gyan and they are performing these activities. People who believe in karma and bhakti, Gyan Karma Bhakti, or Karma Bhakti. Karma, they want to do some karma passion. Some people want to gain the knowledge and do the bhakti. In all of them, then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Pad says that time is very important for us. Because time is about the urgency, so that we understand the value of time and then we can perform those activities with some level of urgency. That is why they say that time and tide does not wait for anyone. Parikshit Maharaj also asked Supreme Goswami in the second canto, 8th chapter, he is asking, Yavan kalpo vikalpo va yatha ayu anumiyate. Please tell me about kalp and vikalp, their duration and how the ayu is measured. So time has a greater significance in our lives, because even from the lowest animal to the Brahmaji, lowest living entity, to the Brahma, it says that from the lowest planet, A Brahma Bhuvna Loka Punar Avartino Arjuna. भगवान कह रहे हैं कृष्ण भगवद गीता में कि फ्रॉम द लोएस्ट प्लैनेट टू द planet of Brahma ji, Punar Avartino Arjuna. They have to come back. But Mam Upetyat Kaunteya Punarjanma Vidyate. But if you come to me, then you don't have to take another. So time. Yudhishthira Maharaj is asking, Mata Devhuti is asking, Parikshit Maharaj is asking. Now Vidurji is asking the same question. Time. Because Bhartari Hariji says, Kalo Nayatu, Vayamevo Yatu. Kal is not going. We are going. Time is not passing, we are passing. So it is not a mundane topic. Division of time, somebody might say, in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. But no, if you remember, second canto, 10th chapter, 10 divisions. There are 10 topics of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Yeah. And the 10th topic is for. So these 9 topics are included to bring forward the 10th topic. Dashamasya Lakshanam. So all these topics are here, 9 topics are here to bring forward the 10th topic, which is love for the Supreme Personality. So the whole discussion about the division of time, how time is calculated, the whole purpose behind it is to understand the importance of it and that who is behind this time, so that we can perform other activities with some urgency. Yeah, so it's a very important topic. So we will discuss further. So let's read this verse and then we'll discuss further. Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Evam vidha ahorat. Evam vidha ahoratrai. Evam vidha ahoratrai. Kalagatyo upalakshitai. Kalagatyo upalakshitai. Apakshitam ivasyapi. apakshitam ivasyapi param ayurvaya shatam param ayurvaya shatam. Okay, what about translation? Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Please repeat. Evam, thus, vidhai, by the process of aha, days, ratri, by nights, kalgatya, advancement of time, upalakshitai, by such symptoms, apakshitam, declined, eva, just like, asya, his, api, although, param ayu, duration of life, vaya, years, shatam, 100. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Please repeat. Thus, the process of the exhaustion of the duration of life exists for everyone of the living beings, including Lord Brahma. One's life endures for only 100 years in terms of the times in the different planets. You might have picked it up. They say 100 years, but they used to say in Kali 100 years, in Dwapar 1000 years, in Treta 10,000 years, and in Treta 1000 years. That's let's not get too much into that. But the point that Maitreya Rishi is telling Vidurji is that the exhaustion of life exists for everyone. Everyone has to leave this body one day. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki. Please hear. Every living being lives for 100 years in terms of the times in different planets for different entities. These 100 years of life are not equal in every case. The longest duration of 100 years belongs to Brahma. See, there is another, then demigod years, human years. We will see all those divisions today, but they are different. It expires in the course of time. Brahma is also afraid of his death, and thus he performs devotional service to the Lord just to release himself from the clutches of illusory. Animals, of course, have no sense of responsibility, but even humans who have developed a sense of responsibility while away their valuable time without engaging in devotional service to the Lord, they live merrily, unafraid of impending death. This is the madness of human society. The madman has no responsibility in life. Similarly, a human being who does not develop a sense of responsibility before he dies is no better than the madman who tries to enjoy material life very happily without concern for the future. It is necessary that every human being be responsible in preparing himself for the next life. Even if he has a duration of life like that of Brahma, the greatest of all living creatures within the universe. So very important point Prabhupada is making. No matter how long you're going to live, if you have a duration of life even, as long as Brahma, the greatest of the living creatures, but we have to prepare himself for next life. Everyone has to prepare for the next life. Whatever we're doing now, we're preparing for the next life. This is not the end of it. Sometimes people think बच्चों की शादी कर दी, सब कुछ कर दिया, अब तो हम फ्री हो गए, गंगा जी जाके नहा लेते हैं. That's it. No. Isn't it? Okay. Let's do Mangalacharan and then we will discuss. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं सावधैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगणा ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता श्री राधा कान्ता नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे भूते महद्भिर् ये मा पुरो विभो निर्माय शेते यदमोष पुरुष भुङ्क्ते गुणांशो दशषोडशात्मकम् सोऽलङ्कसृष्ट भगवान् वचांसि मे श्रीकृष्ण शरणागतम् ता अमृतं सतत पीबतम् भक्ति वेदांत मार्ग बंधनम् सर्वलोक ऋषिदे जन्म प्रसन्नम् सर्वलोक ऋषिदेव जन्म प्रसन्नम्। Hare Krishna, Prabhuji Mataji, please pray for me, please bless me. May the right words come at the right time. May we are all truly able to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead and serve all the Vaishnavas. Srila Prabhupada ki. So today's topic, chapter number 11, and let me share my screen again. The chapter is titled The Calculation of Time. How to hide this? How to hide this? Can you see this? Okay, good. The calculation of time from the atom. So last time we discussed, 10th chapter, we discussed the creation. And like I was saying, at many places, the question has been asked about the time. So Viduji is asking from Maitreji that Yatha Atra Bahu Rupasya Harer Adbhut Karmana Kal Akhyam Lakshanam Brahma Varnaya Yatha Varnaya Na Prabhu. So he asked this question to him in the previous chapter. In the 10th chapter, he asked this question. कि हे प्रभु, हे मैत्रेय जी, आप सब कुछ जानते हैं, तो आप मुझे प्लीज टेल मी द काल शक्ति, काल आख्यान, जिसको काल कहा जाता है, इट इज कॉल्ड काल, वर्ण है, हाउ डज इट लुक, कैन यू सी टाइम, हाउ डू यू विजुअलाइज, दिस वॉच इज नॉट द टाइम, वी से टाइम इज रनिंग, कॉल इज रनिंग, काल इज रनिंग. So he says, please describe the symptoms of that cow to me. In the previous chapter, when Brahmaji is praying for the creation, Brahmaji offers a praise to the Supreme Lord, and he is telling that, my dear Lord, he says, in this world, loko vikarma kuruto kushle pramatta. Right? People are performing all the vikarmas. Whereas, my dear Lord, karmannayam, yeah, you have already prescribed the duties for them. And what those duties are? Aradhana. Right? You have prescribed the duties for them to perform your aradhana, but still, loko vikarma kurta kushle pramatta. They are thinking they are happily enjoying this life. They can get all the facilities and they can continue like this forever. Whereas you have already told them, yeah, Bhavad Archane Swe, your Aradhana, you have clearly described before the creation. Brahma is offering this praise, but they are performing all these activities. However, Yastavadasya Balavan Vihajivitasha Satyashchinanti. Yeah, he says, Yastavadasya Balavan Vihajivitasha. Their desire is so strong to continue this life like this. And you all can experience that. We all can look inside. We have such a strong desire to continue the life like this. But my dear Lord, your Kal Shakti, Balwan, which is very strong. Balwan here in this world, your Kal Shakti, which is very strong. Sadyaschinanti, bahut savdhani se, very attentively, that Kal is monitoring the activity of these living entities, and he is smashing their schemes to enjoy this life. That Kal is very strong. Sadyaschinanti. Tasmai namasto. I bow down to him. That's what Prabhupada said in the purport. Brahmaji is praying that I offer my prayers to you because your Kal Shakti, which is very quietly monitoring the activities, and it smashes them into pieces, all the schemes into pieces. I was just reading yesterday, in Kedarnathji, remember 10 years ago? It roughly happened 10 years ago. That avalanche?
Yes.
Yeah? So there was this one Prabhu who had gone from Jaipur, from Rajasthan, real story. And he, his wife, his brother, his wife, there were 7 people, 5 or 7 people in the family. He said they took the darshan at Kedarnath. They came down and they were sitting. What is that place near from where you start the Chadhai, Kedarnath? What is that place called? Guptkashi? So they came down and he said we were sitting there. The place is called Guptkashi. The river is flowing nicely. He said we were sitting near on the bank of the river and we were chanting the holy names. He said suddenly I felt there is some strong movement in the river. And the moment he looked up, he saw so many boulders like mountains just flowing down. They were sitting on the bank and there was so much water. He said, my wife got swept away. My brother and his wife, all of them, they were swept away within a second. Within a second, he had no clue what is going on. And he saw from a distance a mountain completely submerged into the river. And then he saw there were rocks coming down, and on some of the rocks, there were trees. So those ones they felt were safe to hold on. Well, he said somehow in front of his eyes, his wife just, he looks here and he looks here. Blink of an eye. Sadyaschinant. And like this, he saw thousands. He said so many villages got destroyed. near that. And he somehow went up and he held on to a tree for 2 days. He held on to a tree branch for 2 days. The current was so much, it was all winter, so cold, his clothes got wet, and he was holding on to one branch for 2 days. His shoulder got dislocated, and he put it back himself, standing there. No, nothing. And there were many other people who were holding on to the trees. He looked around. 2 days, night and day, whole day just holding on to that. And he said people who survived, he saw them dying. They were dying of hunger. They were collapsing. They were standing there and they would collapse after 1 day, 1.5 days, because there was no food supply. And there was this continuous flow of water. Continuous flow. And I was really thinking, and this Prabhu is recalling after 10 years. He said, after 2 days, some rescue helicopters came and he waved his hand. And they were only taking 5 people at a time, the helicopter. Now imagine, he said, by chance, they picked me up. They took me, they admitted me into the hospital. My skin was peeling off. My clothes were wet. It took him a long time to, feel normal. And then he called his children. They still did not believe that they had lost their mother. They still had hope that somehow something will work. And now after 10 years, he recalls what happened. So this is the God. This is the time. And this is what Brahmaji is praying. And he's afraid. He's praying that, what can happen? So that is why Kal is very important. Time is very important in our lives. You don't know, you go out and you might get hit by us. We do everything, but we think devotion we can perform afterwards. So that is the whole point. We need to understand the importance of time in our lives. So that is why Vidurji is asking, what is the symptom of that Kal? How does it look? And now we'll see what Maitriji tells him. Okay, so this chapter, just to get you a summary, what we will be discussing today. So there are 8 parts into this time, how we calculate the time. Then the divisions of time, starting from microsecond to the years, to the yugas. And then Vidurji he will ask about the living entities or the time calculation for beyond Kalpa. So all the living entities above Swarga, above heavenly planets, their lifespan is same as Brahmaji's lifespan. Janlok, Bhuvarlok, Janlok, Taplok, Satyalok. These 4 planetary systems. Because before, when Brahmaji sleeps, up to the heaven, all the planets, they get destroyed. The whole thing gets submerged into the water. But any above Maharlok, they're all same age. Doesn't mean everybody lives same age. As their karma, they keep rotating, they keep moving. But only Brahmaji stays, you can say that. Others, they keep changing. Then the duration of yugas, duration of Manu's destruction at the end of Kalp, and Brahma's lifespan. And finally, Maitriji concludes the insignificance of Brahma's lifespan in the universe. That is very important. Like I said, what is the objective? The objective is to be able to appreciate the time factor, which is a Shakti of Supreme Lord. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Kalavasmi. I am the Kal, I am the time. Brahmaji says, my dear Lord, this is your Shakti. Yeah, so that's it. Now, characteristics of time. Let's understand what are the characteristics of time. When Vidurji asked this question, Yatha Attha Bahu Rupasya Harer Adbhut Karma, please tell me that Lord Hari, who does wonderful activities, Bahu Rupasya, who take various forms, right? Kal Akhya, his Shakti, which is called Kal, how does it look? So now Maitreya starts telling me Guna Veti Karakar. Uska akar, the form of the Kal time is Guna Veti Karakar. The disturbance in the various modes, that is its akar. Take for example, you are in the mode of goodness now, then next moment you are in the mode of passion, next you are in the mode of ignorance, or you're in the mixed modes. So that all happening the Kal. So that's the Guna Vyati Kara. That's इसका जो आकार है, काल का जो आकार है, वो गुणों में जो शो होता है, when the metal modes gets disturbed or mixed, उसको समझने के लिए it's very subtle, you can't see it, but that's its form. When you see changing, things changing, going towards south, as they say, not to the way it should be or not to your liking, Kal is it. That's its akar. When Mandodari was telling Ravan that Lord Ram is here, you should accept him as Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ravan said, no, what are you talking about? You women, you are, by nature, you are always, scared and afraid. Don't worry. ये राम कुछ नहीं करेगा, ये तो वनवासी छोकरे हैं लोग, इनको इनके फादर ने घर से निकाल दिया. Then Mandodari makes a statement. She says, काल दंड गहि काहु न मारा, हरे धर्म बल बुद्धि विचारा. She says, काल डंडा लेके किसी को नहीं मारता है. काल does not run after you with a stick in its hand. What it does, hare, it takes away the religion, dharma, bal, your shakti, and vichar, your sense of thinking. It just steals that away, and then you're gone. This is karma. So Maitreya ji is telling Vidurji, Guna Veti Karakaro Nirvishesho Apratishto. Nirvishesho. इसका कोई विशेषता नहीं है. And it just, it just mixes the material modes. But tad upadanam purushasya atmanam. Purushasya tad upadanam atmanam leelaya srijat. But the Supreme Lord Hari uses it as an instrument. Uses the Kal as an instrument to present himself in the Virat Swarup. Leelaya Srijat. To present himself as the Virat. Remember we discussed the creation? So the time factor and the Supreme Lord takes that form. In a moment, khel mein, Leelaya Srijat, to perform his pastime, or by performing as a Leela, the Supreme Lord makes himself appear as Virat Purush using that Kal Shakti. Okay. Remember, Kal and Swabhav and Jeev, these were the three ingredients that we discussed initially. Right? So this is, he's describing, these are the characteristics of the Kal of the time. It doesn't, you really have to think. You have to visualize. But this is not something that you can see. This is Kal. No, this is not Kal. So only Lakshan, only by symptoms you can understand. That is the point. Yeah? So he says, Guna Veti Karakuru. Kal is the source of interactions of the modes of material nature. Nirvishesho, without diversity. Apratishthita, it is unlimited. Vishwam Ishwarena Parichinnam. So then he says, after describing that the Lord, Supreme Lord, he uses this Leelaya Srijat to create. And then he says, Ye vai Vishwam, this universe, Brahmatan Matram Vishnu Mayaya. Now, just before he had spoken about the creation, as we discussed, when Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, when he came, when he's lying down, so all the living entities enter into the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu's body. Or the whole Vishnu. When the lotus is coming out, in the lotus stem itself, we have these 14 planetary systems. So that's what Maitreya is saying, that this whole Vishnu, this whole universal phenomenon, if you want to understand the Kal Shakti, the effect of Paula Shakti, it was inside, Samsvitam Vishnu Mayaya. It was inside the Supreme Lord by his Yog Maya potency. It was inside the Vishnu, that Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. But Ishvarena Parichinnam. But that Supreme Lord separated itself. Separated this. By what? By using Kalena Avyaktamurti. So what you see now, or what is going to be created, it was inside him, that whole Vishnu, but by using the Kala Shakti. By using the Kala Shakti, it separated it, and this whole universe is get created. So it was inside him, the same Vishnu, but Kala Shakti with the time factor, it came out, and you see this now. So these are the symptoms. Basically, everything is running under the supervision of the Supreme Lord or under the Kala Shakti, and that Kala Shakti belongs to the Supreme Personality of God, and that is the point. Yeah. So some more symptoms. Avyakta Murtina, an unmanifested feature. Brahma Tan Matram, yeah, representative of the Lord. So these are all symptoms, characteristics for Mataji. And I just want to, and Yathedam Tathagrecha Pasyadapi Etat Idrisha. It causes the universe to appear alike in the present as it was in the past and shall be in the future. So this creation will continue forever, which is an opportunity for the living entities to go back to God. So these are the symptoms of the time. Right? Now, Vidurji asked these questions, Maitreji responded this, but then he went on to describe the creation, as Mataji said, 6 types of creation: primary creation, created by the Supreme Lord; 4 types of secondary creation, created by Brahma. And then he starts talking about in this chapter, then he starts talking about the calculation of time from the division of distance. Because this is something that we can't see. Now he's going to use the distance to understand time or to measure time. As they say, distance by speed equals time. Or is it other way? Distance by speed equals time. On a 60-kilometer zone, if you go 60 kilometers at a speed of 60, so it calculates 1 hour. Right? So now in Bhagavatam, now Maitreji starts talking about the distance first. He starts with saying that the smallest particle, the very smallest particle in this universe is called Paramanu. Param Anu. We have studied in our curriculum, but the very smallest, this can't be seen. None of us can see that. It can't be seen by human eyes. Right? So the smallest particle is called Param Anu, atom. So ultimate smallest particle. And then the next level he says is the Param Mahan. The totality of all the Paramanus is called Param Mahan. So take the smallest particle, and the Param Mahan is the sum total of the whole universe. Right? Smallest particle is called Param Anu, and the whole universe, including Earth and the 7 layers. Right? Remember those 7 layers that we discussed? Earth, and then outside the Earth, it is a 10 times bigger. So 10 times bigger Earth than water. The Earth that we see, it is surrounded by 10 times bigger layer of water. Then this is surrounded by another 10 times bigger layer of fire. Then another 10 times bigger layer of air. Then another 10 times bigger layer of ether. Then another 10 times bigger layer of ahankar, which is also very subtle. Then another 10 times bigger layer of mahattat. You know the creation? Similarly, creation, first came Pradhan, then Supreme Lord entered into that, then it became Mahattat, then came Ahankar, and then came these, from the sense objects, then came these 5 gross elements. So like this is all covered. So all that sum total, Prabhuji Mataji, is called Param Mahan, and the smallest is called Parmanu. Now he will tell us how to calculate the time, understand the time by using distance. Okay. Just as matter has small and big divisions, time also has similar divisions. See this now. So he says, Parama Anutam, Param Anutam, time covered by the sun in passing over an atom, the smallest division of time, is called Param Anutam. Now sun, the movement of sun, is what, solar year, what we call. We use solar system, not solar system on the roof, not that, but for the calculation of time. And we look at there are 5 types of solar and then moon, lunar year, solar year, things like that. So there are different ways of calculating. But we use as per our Shastri, we believe we follow solar, the sun, the movement of sun. Right? So the smallest time, Sakalak Parmanu Vai Ya Bhuktan Parmanuta. That Kal which represents or which exists the distance the sun it takes for the sun to pass is called Parmanuta. Yeah. Satah avishesho bhogyastu sakala parama. So the time it takes for sun to pass a Parmanu is called Parmanuta, and the time it expanded from the beginning of the creation till the dissolution of the universe is called Param Mahan time. It's okay if you can't register now, it's okay if you can't understand the logic behind this. Just hear it as a Krishna Katha. It will conclude very nicely. Yeah? But this is the basic. So using distance, the time it takes sun to go from here to here, that's how things are calculated. Okay. So we clear? Parmanutam and Parama. So this is the calculation of time from the divisions of distance. Then the now divisions of time. Now let's understand this. How do we minimize this? So Vedic time calculation and the modern time epoch. So the smallest one is called Paramanu atom, time for the sun to pass 1 Paramanu distance. Then, and like I said, Paramanu we can't see. You remember sometimes in the sunlight, if you see some particles. If there is sun coming from the window, you can see them. They're not Paramanu, they are a hexatom, and we know what those hexatoms are. Then 2 Paramanu combined, it becomes double atom. Then 3 Anus make hexatom. This is what you can see when you see the sunlight coming through the windows and see those small particles. Yeah, so there are 3 Anus or 6 atoms combined, that becomes that. And by the way, very clearly, also Maitreji has told that they are always indivisible, they are always invisible. Indivisible means it cannot be broken down further, that smallest particle, and they are always invisible. But Nirnam, we human beings, because they are all combined, those atoms are forming this body, we think this is permanent. That's the statement Maitreji makes at the very first time. Okay, then the next one is Truti. These are just straightforward. We'll skip through them and we'll come to 8 seconds. Yeah. So these, see how the whole whole thing will flow. Ultimately, we will get into the modern time calculation. You can understand hours, days, and things. But the basic point to understand is the time division of time is from an atom, and the time it takes for sun to travel from this distance to that distance, right? So we use distance to calculate the time. So you can read through them. Nimesh is 3 lavas. Nimesh is called when we blink the eye, that is the nimish. Sadyaschinanti nimishaya namastu tasmai. That's what Brahma is saying. Nimish. In the blink of an eye. Like I was saying, that Prabhu was sitting there. And in a blink of eye, he just saw people got just swept up. Thousands and thousands. Within a second. A whole mountain submerged into the river. No clue where it went. And then Shana, 3 nimeshas, and then Kastha, 5 shanas, is 8 seconds. So just keep going. Muhurat. Muhurat is 1 hour. When Mata Devhuti, we'll discuss in 25 chapter. When Mata Devhuti, when she spent all the time with Kardamuni, she's lamenting. And she's saying, we've spent years. You know that. Otherwise, we'll discuss further. She's saying, we spent years enjoying for sense gratification in that aerial mansion. And then she says, Varsh Pugan Muhurtvat. I've spent so many years like a muhurt. They went past like a. Sometimes you hear people saying, Pata hi nahi laga jeev kahan chala gaya. I just went to India. I went one of my uncle. He was a teacher for 30 plus years. And he's saying to me, Mujhe yaad hi nahi kabhi naukri bhi ki. He's only in 70s now. He says, Lagta hai nahi kabhi naukri bhi kiya. The time is just past. So what we're doing today, we think, oh, perfect. I'm so and so manager, I'm this and that, whatever we do. But no, calm. So Muhurat is 1 hour. Yeah. You see calendar, this is the best Muhurat for doing this. You know, so roughly it's 1 hour. And then Parahar. Yeah. Parahar is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he's speaking to Sanatana Goswami, he's telling, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 pahar hoy, 4 pahar ratri gela, punah surya. Pahar, 1 pahar is 3 hours. Mahaprabhu also talks about the time. Somebody might say he's telling about the bhakti, but no, he highlights the. So that's the point. Mata Devhuti is asking about karma and time. What karma I should do with the sense of urgency, considering the importance of time. Yeah. So 1 day has how many pahars now? We all know 8 pahar. Yeah. In Bhagavad Gita, there is one shlok when Lord Krishna is talking about the food eaten in mode of ignorance. Yat yama. He says the food eaten after 1 pahar is in the mode of ignorance. See? No, we are in a different country. The circumstances are different. But because you have offered it to the Supreme Lord, it has become prasad. Prasad you can eat. That's fine. So make sure you offer it to Krishna and then you can preserve it for days. It will be safe. Yeah. So day and night, day 4 and 4 prahars. So 12-hour day and 12-hour night. Essentially. And it doesn't mean the 9 to 10. So Sandhya, Sandhya. Sandhya is called, we say Sandhya in the evening when the sun is setting and day is about to close. That's what the Sandhya means. Sandhi, connection. And similarly in the morning, we sing the prayer, Mangalarti. Dhyayan stuvam stasya yashastri sandhyam Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam Dhyayan Stuvam Stasya Yashastri Sandhyam. 3 sandhya, 3 jo sandhya hoti. There are 3 sandhis in a day. What are they? 1 is the morning, 1 is in the afternoon. Just when sun is going from this side to 12 o'clock, you can say, and then 1 is in the evening. वो 3 संध्या में 3 संधिस, right? that Supreme Personality of Godhead, no, I pray to Supreme Personality of Godhead, but my Guru Maharaj, he is giving me mercy through his instructions. Dhyayan and Stuvam Stasya Yashas. वो मेरे गुरु महाराज जो उस भगवान का ध्यान कर रहे हैं, उसकी स्तुति कर रहे हैं और उनके यश का गुणगान कर रहे हैं, तीनों संज्ञा में I bow down to that Guru Maharaj. ध्यान स्तुवम सस्य यशस्ति वंदे गुरु श्री चरणा. So just so we understand now, and then we go fortnight. Fortnight is 15 days and nights. That is why we have from Prathami, first day is called Prathami, and then last day is called Amavasya or Purnima. Yeah, and 14 days called Chaudas. Yeah, so that's why it's based on the solar cycle. Then month. Month is made up of 2 fortnights, hence it is 30 days. Yeah. And then season, Ritu, is every 2 months. So we have 6 seasons in a year. What are they? Summer, winter, rainy. Then after rain we get Sharad Ritu, Vasant Ritu. And what is that? Patishad. Autumn. What is Prabhu? Shishir. So 6. So hence every season is 2 months. And then Ayan, 6th month is called Ayan. So when sun is going Uttarayan and Dakshina. When the in our Bhugol, in our geography, what we studied, when the sun is going into the northern hemisphere, then it is called Uttarayan. When it is going to the southern hemisphere, then it is Dakshinayan. Yeah? So these are ayans. And then finally 1 year. An year is 2 ayans of the sun, 1 complete day and 1 complete night for the demigods. So up to ayan, up to 6 months, that's human years and days, and demigods year is our one year is 1 day for demigods. When the sun is in the northern hemisphere, it is their day. When the sun is in the southern hemisphere, it is their night. So that's demigod years. So we have discussed human years and demigod years, right? Up to the heavenly planets. Let's continue. Then there are 5 types of years. Samvatsara, which is sun, and the earthly calculations 365 days. That's what we follow. Yeah. And then Parivatsara, Jupiter, 11.87 years, earthly calculation. That's the 1 year. Then Vatsara. So basically, basically what Maitreya is telling Vidurji is that in their own constellations or in these various orbits or planetary systems, as they are going around, there is a calculation when they complete one rotation. That's how their year is being calculated. But we normally follow the sun year. We follow Samvatsara. And hence, Maitreya gives an instruction. He says we should offer praise to the sun god because sun god gives us heat and energy. Number 2, because sun god also diminishes our age. Now you might say, why should we worship if he is diminishing our age? But he says because he is diminishing our age to help us get out of this cycle. Right? Ayur harati vaipumsa udyan astanchayanasau. So Sud Goswami is saying Ayur harati vaipumsa, right? Udyan astan, by rising and setting of the sun, the age of living entities are stolen away. But tasya rite yat shano nita uttam shloka vartaya. But people who are engaged in discussing the topics of Bhagavan Uttam Shlok, they are not affected by this. They are unaffected by this. But for other people, their age is stolen. But still, he's saying we should pray to him because the time passes and then this cycle, you will at least get out of this cycle. If you are performing devotional services, then it is good, you will go back to God. If you are not able to spend time in devotional service, then also it is good. Sun is being merciful to you because he is stealing away those years of illusion from you so that you pass this phase in your life. कई बार लोग कहते हैं दुख का समय नहीं कटता. I remember in my village, my grandmother, this is true story, when she was unwell and people knew that she is going to leave her body. We knew about 15 days before because she stopped eating everything and the relatives will come and meet with her. And there was another lady in the village, my schoolmate, my friend's mother. She had fallen off a cart. She was carrying a big load on her head and one day she was getting onto the cart, she fell backwards and she was bedridden for nearly 23 years. And this I'm talking about in 2006. She just passed away last year. In 2006, whoever relative will come to see my grandma. So village, they know everyone. So they go and see her first, and then they will go and see my grandmother. Everybody was coming and telling to my grandmother that she sent a message to you कि मुझे भी अपने साथ ले जाओ. Please go and tell her to take me with her. I don't want to live this life. She was so upset. She was going through so much trouble. But what to do? You have to live. So she lived for those many years. Just passed away last year. 22, 23 years. So what can you do? So you, for that also you pray to Sun. So Sun God, he gives us heat and energy. He takes away our life of illusion. So we should be worshipping him. So that's what Maitreya is saying. We should offer oblations to the Sun God. Yeah. So we follow. So these are the 5 types of years. Yeah. Just for understanding. And the demigod year equals 360 solar years. 1 demigod year. We understand now because our 1 year is our 1 day. So their 1 year is now 360 solar years. Now after understanding this, now Vidurji asks another question. He says, Pitri Dev Manushyana. Yeah. He said, now I have understood because Pitra Lok is also below the heavenly planets. So he says, I have understood. Yeah. Pitri Dev Manushyana Ayur Param Idam Smritam. You have explained to me the calculation of the age of Pitralok, residents of Pitralok, residents of Manushyalok, Mrityalok, and the heavenly planets. Now I want to know the time calculation for the people who are living beyond heavenly planets. You know how scientists are trying to search whether there is life beyond earthly planets or not. Actually, my friend was telling me about a story. There is a recent movie of Spider-Man. I don't know if you have seen it or if you have heard about it. In this movie, very interesting. What happens is there are Spider-Mans in all the universe. All the universe have their own Spider-Man. And then there is an Indian version of Spider-Man also. He's speaking in Punjabi and his girlfriend is the daughter of one Sardarji. And then somehow this one Spider-Man if in one universe he gets upset, he leaves his house and he enters into the Indian universe, where the Indian universe, and he goes and meets the Indian version of Spider-Man. So there is he forgets his way, and the universe is and then they find out, oh, I have come into the wrong universe. I belong to that universe. So at least I was happy that at least they recognize now there are many different universes. If there is their own Spider-Man. And there is Indian version, there is Chinese version, there is American. But at least they are recognizing that there is life beyond this universe, and there are many universes beyond this, and they also have life. So see, this is the strength of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So he says, now you have explained to me the life of Pitralok, Mrityulok, and heavenly planets. Now I want to know the next level of understanding. Right? So we understand now here. Now you're all familiar with this, but just use it as a refresher. Right? So in Kali Yuga, we have 432,000 years. Right? Dwapar has 864. The way it works is you just double it up. Right? So 432 double is 864. Right? And then you multiply 432 by 3. So you get 1296. And then you multiply 432 by 4, you get 1728,000. And then you add them up, then that makes one Chaturyug, which is 4.3 million human years. One Chaturyug is 4.3. Like I said, don't worry if you can't register, but just appreciate the creation, just appreciate the power and where we stand in the broader scheme of things. That is the whole point. What is my standing? I'm just a insect living for 70, 80 years in this broader scheme of things. Where do I stand? What is my future? Like I said, that is the whole point to understand. So he said, I've understood. So he explains this, the various yugas. Now the next level, he says, I want to know the lifespan beyond. Yeah. So he's just going on that. So now we should also understand the Manvantar. Okay. So we start from Brahma's one day. Right? Brahma's one day is 12 hours, which is called a kalp. In one kalp, there are 14 manvantars. So 14 manus. We are currently in the 7th manvantar. So every manvantar has a manu. Six are there. उसको बोलते हैं 6 अंग of manvantar. Manu Putra, because who are going to take over from Manu Maharaj and continue. Indra and the demigods. So there is, Bali Maharaj will be the next Indra. Vaman Bhagwan has already promised. No, Manvantar. Because every Manvantar has an Indra. Every Manvantar has 6 Angas, Indra and the demigods, Saptarishi, and one Manvantar avatar. In this Manvantar avatar is Vaman avatar. 6 Angas, yeah, remember that. Manu Putra, Indra and demigods, and one Manvantar avatar and Saptarishi, who are responsible for maintaining the Shastras, who are passing the knowledge. So there are Saptarishis, yeah. So like this, every month. So Brahmaji has days 12 hours, one kalp. Then each kalp has 14 manvantars. Then one manvantar has 71 cycles of Chaturyugas. Yeah. One manvantar, one manu rules for little more than 71 Chaturyugas, and that is 306 million human years. And which is 852,000 demigod years. Once again, always consider your position in the bigger scheme of things. Where do we stand? Yeah. And then 14 manus, 1,000 yugas. So roughly every manvantar, there is a after every yug, there is a yug sandhya. When there is a, you can say, changeover, there is some overlap. There is some time gap. So hence, if you multiply 71 by 14, it doesn't add up to 1,000. It adds up to 994 something. But the remaining part is made by these sandhyas, this sun. So that's the rough calculation.
Even a 7 manvantara is left.
Yes. 7 manvantara. Yes. So you're gonna come and yes. Yes, it's a very long time. Yeah. So now he has explained to him, and then he also talks about destruction at the end of Kalpa. So the destruction, I've already explained what happens. All the planets up to the heavenly planet, when Brahmaji goes to sleep, there is fire coming from the mouth of Bhagwan Sheshnath. It burns all the planets up to heaven from all the 7 lower planet systems. Atal, Vital, Sutal, Talatal, Rasatal, Mahatal, Patal. 7 below. These 7 plus 3. Bhu, Bhuva, Swa. Bhulok, Bhumi, Bhuvarlok, and Swarlok. All these 10 planetary systems, they get burnt. And all the oceans, they swell. First, there is fire for thousands of years. Then there is rain for thousands of years. Then there is strong wind for thousands of years. And we all living entities, we go into the body of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, he is sleeping. He is resting in Yoga Nidra. So we all go inside his body, getting ready for our next bodies when Brahmaji wakes up again. But this is the destruction happens. And it is said that there is so much fire. Because of the fire, right? The residents of Bhuvarlok, above Swarlok, they move to the Janlok. It's like they go from 4th level to the 5th level because heat is so much. And they all start offering prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are glorifying the Supreme. And mind you, you all have been through that process. It is said that you have been Indra. 7 Manvantar Prabhu, anything could happen. You can take any body. We all have taken these bodies. Brahma Bhuna Loka. Lowest planet to the Brahmaji's planet, they all have to come back. You know. But if we go surrender to Krishna, there is no chance. So we just rotate. So this is all arrangement for us. Yeah? So this is the destruction at the end of the Kalpa. And then he talks about the lifespan of Brahma. So Brahmaji's lifespan, there are various terms to understand. Parardha. So we are now in the second half of Brahmaji's life. The 50 years of Brahma's life has gone, the current Brahma. So we are in the second half. Dvi Parardha. So 50 years. And the very first Kalp is called Brahma Kalp. Brahma Kalp actually. Brahma is born with the 4 Vedas also called Shvet Varaha Kalp. Because Varaha Bhagavan, Varaha Bhagavan appeared. He appeared twice. Or maybe many times he appears, but prominent one, Shvet Varaha, when he appeared in the beginning, when Brahmaji was asked to create, earth wasn't there. Because everything was submerged. And then Shvet Varaha, he appeared at Shvet Varaha and he brought the earth up and then he helped Brahmaji. Because Brahmaji had created Manu and Shatrupha, they appeared from his body. But he don't know where to create. When they asked him to create, they said, where is earth? How do we create? And then Supreme Lord appeared as Rakta Varaha, which is red. His body color is red. And that Rakta Varaha is the Varaha Kalp, first day of second Parardha of Brahma's life. And then Padma Kalp is next Kalp, which followed the first Kalp. So you remember the Brahma Kalp is first Kalp. When Brahmaji came out, he did not know what to do. Remember? He did not know what to do. Then he went back inside. Then he performed austerity for many years. And then finally he got instruction that you should go and create. He came up, and as he came up, there was a lot of water, there was a lot of wind, and then he swallowed everything. He again performed tapasya for many years. And then in his next day, when he started the creation, that's what is called Padma Kalp. Padma Kalp, he was on the lotus, and then he started it. He doesn't stay on the lotus all the time. His residence is on Sumeru Parvat, on the top of Sumeru. So this is how this is. And then finally, Brahma lives for 100 years. His 100 years are calculated how? 8.64 billion. So what I've done is, human years, if you see 14 Manvantar, so that is Brahma's day, 12-hour day, that constitutes 4.32 billion human years. Brahmaji's one day is 12-hour day, 12-hour night. So you multiply it by 2, so that makes it 8.64 billion. And then that is just one day and night. Then you multiply that by 365. That is Brahma's 1 year. And then he lives for 100 years. Then you multiply by another 100. So that's his lifespan. You can't calculate. You can't calculate. That is why Brahmaji is praying. Brahmaji is praying. Brahmaji says that, my dear Lord, these living entities, he says, I'm worried. I myself get worried because when I see them and when I'm worried, what I'm doing, te pe tapo bahu savo varurut samana. He says, my dear Lord, even though I live for such a long time, yasmad bibhe me ahamapi dviparardhadishta अध्यासित सकल लोक नमस्कृतं या ते पे तपो बहुसवो वरुरुत्समाना. Yeah? He says, even though, my dear Lord, I live for dviparardh, I live for such a long time. Sakal lok adhyasita namaskritam yat. The head of all the planetary systems come and bow down to me. But still I'm worried. Still I'm scared. And out of that scare, what I do? Tepe tapo bahu savo rurut samana. I perform austerity. I perform tapasya for so many years out of scare, feeling that I will be sent to the hellish planet. And hellish planet, he's talking about Ruru planet. You know, in hellish planet, there is a Ruru Narak, Roral Narak. And there are those, like the specific type of animals, they bite you. You faint, then they bite you again. You faint, then you bite, then they bite you again. So he says, I'm scared. Tasmai namo dhimakhaya tubhyam. Oh my dear Lord, so I bow down to you. I pay my obeisances to you because you are the master of all the sacrifices. So that Brahma is then after describing all of this, after describing this Kal, now Maitriji concludes, he says, this Kalo Ayam, that's this Kal, this time that I've spoken to you, Vidurji, this Kalo Ayam Dviparardha Akhyam, which is called Dviparardha, which contains, which controls the Brahma's time. Yeah. He says, Nimesh Upcharyate. This is just a blink of an eye. For whom? That Supreme Personality of God. Okay. Who is Anant, who doesn't have any beginning. He Anadir Jagat Atma. He does not have any beginning. Who is the soul of the universe. Who is Anant. For him, this Dviparad, the time that I've spoken to you, this is just a blink of an eye for that Supreme Personality. And that's what Brahmaji is saying. Brahmaji prays. In Brahma Samhita, Brahma is saying, Yasek nishwasita kalam atavalampe. Unki sirf ek saans, for his one breath, that Brahmaji, who is the head of that Jagadandanath, Jivanti Loma Bilija Jagadandanath, who only lives, survives for the one breath of that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vishnu Mahan Sahiya Yasya Govindamadi Purusham. I pay my obeisances to that Govind. This is Brahma himself praying about him, his own position. He says, for him, just that. So Maitreyi is telling him that Kal Akyam Dviparardha, jo maine aapko bataya hai, that is nothing. Nimesh Upcharyate, that is just a blink of an eye for that Supreme Personality of God. And then he said that Kal Parmanav Adir, Kal Akyam Parmanav Adir, Dviparardha Ant Ishwara. This Kal, Kalo Ayam. Vidurji, listen, this Kal, this time, which has many dimensions. It can control the Parmanu. The distance of a Parmanu, the smallest of the particles, up to the Dviparardha Antam. So it can be the Ishwar, it can be the controller of that. But Navai Prabhur Bhumna. But it cannot control the Supreme Lord. Rather, it is controlled by the Supreme Personality of God. But yes, this Kal controls Ishwarena dham mani. This Kal is controller of the people who live in the bodily concept of life. You understand? So he says, Kal Akhyam, this time that I've spoken to you, Vidurji, it cannot be, it can control, who can control the Parmanu, who can control Brahmaji, but it is controlled by the Supreme God. However, this Kal is the controller of people who are living in the bodily concept. So yeah. So now, as I was saying to you, so this is the various layers, as I was saying. So in the bigger scheme of things, now he concludes Maitreji, he tells him that consider this universe now. The smallest of the particle, which is Parmanu. And what is the other side? Param Mahan. It is also called Kaivalyam. Right? So that constitutes within these layers, water, fire, wind, space, Ahankar, Mahat, and Pradhan. Within this layer, he says, this earth appears to be a Anu, an atom. Now looking at it from the outside. So this earth appears to be a Anu, a smallest of the atom within the universe. And then as you go outside of the universe, then all these universes appear as smaller atoms. You understand? And all these universes, they appear at smallest atoms. And what is their position? Vishnur Dhama. Yeah. It is the Swarup of the Supreme Personality of God. This is the Swarup of Kala Swarup, if you want to understand. Yes. So all these planetary systems, now they are inside the body of Mahavishnu. Yeah. Purushasya Mahatmana. And that Mahatmana is Mahapurush. Garbhodakshai. Vishnu. See? So in that bigger scheme of things, that's what Maitreji is telling him. So this is the Swarup. This is the Virat Swarup of that time factor. So with that in mind, and finally, this is the current. I think, is it visible on the right hand side, Prabhuji Mataji? Yeah, like I said, there are 14 Manvantar, and the current Chaturyug, the current Manvantar is Vaivats Manvantar, and we are in the Kaliyug now at this stage, yeah, in this cycle. And this is Chaturyug number 28, right? And Chaturyug number 28, that's when Lord Krishna comes himself. And I mentioned to you sometime, they say Krishna is an incarnation of Vishnu. Outside this 28 cycle, yes, you can say Krishna is an incarnation of Vishnu. I was listening to His Grace Prabhu, who is the Pujari who is serving Narsim Devi in Mayapur temple? Yes, yeah. Jana Nivas Prabhu. Yeah, I was listening to Jana Nivas Prabhu's class, and he clarified this. He said sometimes people say Krishna is an avatar of Vishnu. He said yes, because 28 cycle Krishna comes himself. So we are fortunate to be in this cycle. But outside 28 cycle, also Krishna comes. And at that time he says that is an incarnation. So this is the situation of time for Mataji. Kal is very important. Yeah. Yudhishthira Maharaj was asked a question by Yaksh that what is the Varta? I'll just conclude with this point. What is Varta? What is the topic of discussion? And then Yudhishthira Maharaj answers that question. He says, Asmin Mahamo Hamay Katahe Surya Ninara Tridiva Indhanena Masaritudar Viparightanena Bhutani Kalah Pachati Varta. उसने पूछा वार्ता क्या है? What is the topic of discussion? So Yudhishthira Maharaj is saying, Asmin Mahamo Mahe Katahe. ये जो universe है, this place is a big boiling pot. Katai jo kadhai bolte hain usko. This is a big boiling pot. And then he says, Surya is Agni, sun is the fire. Yeah, Surya Agni na Ratri Diva Indhanena. Sun is fire and day and night are the woods, fire woods. And Masa Ritu, we went through Mas is month and Ritu is the season. So these seasons are Darvi. They are the chamcha kya bolte usko English mein? What do you say? The one you stir with. Ladle, yes, ladle, yes. He says these month and season, they are ladle. Right? And so we are all being fried into this big boiling pot. Right? Sun is providing the fire. Day and night are firewood. And these month and season are ladles. Right? You can judge yourself. Last winter, you know, sometimes people say, oh, if he survives this winter, it will be good. Some people are prone to dying in winters, right? Oh, sardi bach ki chalo ek saal aur nikal le. Right? So these are the ladles. And then bhutani kala pachti tivarta. The kal, the time is devouring the living entities. This is a topic of conversation. This is what. So we'll stop now. Prabhuji Mataji, I hope we now can appreciate the importance of time. The importance of time in our lives. Like I said, all the senior personalities are asking about the time and the karma. So we perform this service with some level of urgency in our lives. Don't leave it too late. Don't leave it for someone else. Or if that person comes, then I will do it. Or if I get that association, then I will do it. Don't worry. Please just go ahead. Your call is with you and their call is with you. Okay. So we'll stop now. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanande. Srila Gurudev ki. Okay, Kavita Mataji, Hare Krishna. We will see you next week.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.